saying that. And also, neither of us are the first people to say that. Anyway.
I think I am.
Well, let's talk more about the symposium.
I invented From Hell. That's a deep cut.
I invented fake news.
I think we need a symposium. And the best part, you know what the root word is, the etymology in that symposium? Sim.
Yeah.
Together. Posium.
Over time, and you're defining the etymology of symposium right now?
Posium, you know what that is?
Is it a growing sense of rage?
It's to drink. Coming together to drink.
I like that. Okay, that was kind of funny in the end. Thank you. I'll put it in my podcast where I define words. Okay, I'm not going to do my normal thing because apparently it will bother Brett and I don't want to pay royalties. So I'll end with this. Everyone, as you go towards the weekend, there's some good in the world and it's worth fighting for. I'll see you next time.
Welcome. It's indisputable. I'm your host, Rashad Richey. Good to be with you today. We made it through the week. Weekend is here. All right. We got a lot on the agenda. Ben Glebe joining me today, comedian, Rebel HQ contributor, fascinating individual and brilliant analysis as always. All right. This is an indisputable update. Remember the case where a Black male was in a white community doing his pro-democracy thing, and they damn near lynched him. Okay, that's my opinion of it. I'm going to take you back to that incident and give you the now. Here it is.
Keep talking. And where the tree at to hang people at? Where is that? Where is the hanging tree at?
In your backyard. Gentlemen, can I please?
No. He just said there's a hanging tree down there to hang people like me. That's racist.
That is.
That is racist. Y'all go take his back and he's being racist?
He's a crying.
How's he being racist to me talking about there's a hanging tree down there? Are you along with that? Are you down with that as well, like him?
So, he's my dad.
Get off. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. I'm not on your property. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Let's do it. Come on, let's go. Slap me, hit me. I want you to. I want you to hit me.
I love you. You're my brother.
No, I'm not your brother.
You're
Don't
my
touch
brother.
me. This is racist to the most.
You're my brother.
You're wrong.
You're my brother.
You're wrong. You get out of my face.
Do you
understand what
You're
that
my
means?
brother.
Do you know where you are? Do you know the history of the town?
I don't give a
That man was in a damn nightmare. I could not imagine anything scarier than that white woman at the end. All right, put up the picture full mass. Everybody was horrible, in particular, this guy. Now, his name is Gary Miller. You see, Gary is the white male who was, Gary was the white male who was arrested after being filmed in the viral video. During that time, I said on Indisputable that the local law enforcement, they were creative and assertive to make sure this man got arrested. He told the Black man there's a, quote, hanging tree in his backyard, told deputies why he made the racist remark. The video was filmed at the Hot August Nights Classic Car Festival. This is Virginia City, Nevada, by Rick Johnson. All right, so Mr. Johnson was at the festival August 2nd, collecting ballot signatures for a petition to cap attorney fees in the state. You got to think about this. This man literally would help everybody in the whole state, okay, whoever needed an attorney. He approached Gary Miller about the petition. This is something we should all agree with. And Miller allegedly told Mr. Johnson there was a hanging tree for people like him in his backyard. The interaction immediately took a fiery turn. Johnson began recording, quote, "And where's the tree at to hang people?" Johnson asked Miller in the video, "Where is it? Where is it at? Where's the hanging tree at? In your backyard?" Gary Miller said before calling Johnson a crying mother blank. And then Miller's wife, her name is Janice. Janice was also seen in the video, ushering Mr. Johnson away. He is the victim. Ushering him away from her husband and calling him her brother. While Johnson tearfully protested the hanging tree remarks, the Miller's daughter, Tiffany, also confronted Johnson and defended her father. Johnson posted the video on his TikTok account, which is why we have it, and it set off a firestorm. The Story County Sheriff's Office decided to launch an investigation, which ended in an actual arrest. Yes, a misdemeanor arrest, but the sheriff locked up all of them. I like this guy. So the sheriff just took them all to jail. Gary Miller, 74, was charged with violation of state crimes of breach of peace and committing a crime because of actual perceived race, color, religion, national origin, physical and mental disability, sexual orientation or gender identity or expression of another person or group of persons. That was the violation. His wife, 67 years of age, once again, Janice, was charged with battery. Why? Unwanted physical contact. It doesn't matter that you're ushering somebody away. It's a public venue. You have no right of trespass enforcement here. Unwanted physical contact, that's battery. Authorities charged the daughter, 46 years of age, Tiffany Miller, with obstructing and delaying a peace officer. Court documents obtained by KLAS News revealed what the Millers told deputies about the incident. Gary Miller confirmed to investigators that, quote, he told Johnson there was a hanging tree down the road and to go hang out there, according to court filings. When deputies posed the question, why did he make the statement? Miller said he grew up in different times. MAGA. Johnson told investigators that Miller told him point blank, quote, there was a hanging tree for N-words like him in his backyard. Documents said. Documents also revealed that Tiffany Miller told authorities the tree in question, quote, was used in the gold rush days to hang thieves as punishment. You know, I actually think that she got arrested for that statement. That's just my opinion. I believe the sheriff said, okay, you're obstructing that. Go to jail. You're going to get some too. Several witnesses corroborated Johnson's story. Obviously, he had it on video, saying they heard Miller talk about a hanging tree in town. Reports of Miller's reason for his behavior sparked a lot of backlash online. Quote, hateful. He should be in jail. One person wrote, quote, I'm older than this guy. There's no place for that comment anywhere, anytime. Another person wrote, quote, no excuse for that kind of hate on a perfect stranger. That, let alone anyone. One person chimed in. Well, Johnson, who is originally from Houston, Texas, told deputies that a black SUV with a Confederate flag chased him out of town as he left Virginia City. After Johnson's video went viral, representatives for a hot August night said they revoked the Millers' membership. So they are no longer allowed to participate in the festival, ever. The organization said no festival representatives, volunteers, or staff were filmed in the video or were part of the encounter with Johnson. State leaders also condemned the incident. Republican Nevada Governor Joe Lombardo said, quote, racism and hate have no place in Nevada. This behavior must be condemned in the strongest terms possible. Nevada Attorney General Aaron Ford, who is Black, stated, quote, such hate does not represent the values we hold here in Nevada. He also encouraged others to likewise denounce the racism displayed in the video. He said, yeah, everybody needs to talk about this. The Reno Gazette-Journal reported that the Millers are scheduled to appear on November 14th for a pretrial conference. Indisputable to be there. I want to make sure we bring you the update. Now, this was a bipartisan response. This was a multifaceted, multi-governmental response. But it took one leader doing the right thing. Now remember, he posted the video. The video goes viral. There's no investigation yet, right? The sheriff gets involved. The sheriff not only does the investigation, he then arrests the individual, utilized the full extent of his authority as the constitutional officer who occupies the sheriff's position. His leadership provided the catalyst and coverage for the other politicians to weigh in as well. It may be unfortunate, that's what it takes, but it does. It takes leadership. Horrible incident, but It was well executed in response. And I have to give that city, those elected officials, the sheriff, and those officers who thoroughly investigated and wrote down every damn thing that was said and affected the arrest. I got to give them all credit. And to the brother who experienced that, you are a hero to so many, my friend. All right, Ian, thoughts here.
I mean, I can't think of a worse way to discourage participation in our democracy than this.
Exactly.
And my goodness, thankfully, you know, like you said, this town really came through and condemned this horrible behavior. You know, many people, when pushing back, many Trump supporters, when pushing back on the claim that when Trump said there's very fine people on both sides, he didn't mean Nazis at that rally. He meant people that were just there to keep the Confederate statues up. Well, I'd like to make clear that is true, but that too is a racist position. To glorify the Confederacy, to fly the Confederate flag, these are not just like fair opinions. This is saying you prefer a time of slavery and Jim Crow. You prefer a time when our Black brothers and sisters were not treated equally, codified in our law. And so that's unfortunately a vestige of that you're seeing in this story with these smirking, idiotic individuals. But happily, we see that this town is not having it. And there's always going to be some bad apples in a bunch. As long as you throw those apples out, you can still enjoy a good fruit salad. You know what I mean?
There you go, brother. All right, we got more on the other side. It's indisputable, stick and stay.
Magic. It's showtime. And say 45 minutes. I'm hosting today. Now I know what you're thinking, Jerry, your face is already perfect, but you know what? I still need to apply some makeup. I went through this process, right? A few years ago when I realized that I was gonna have to wear makeup on the show. I had to go through like finding out what my undertones were. You guys know what those are? I got my MAC Cosmetics. It says SPF 15 foundation, broad spectrum. But apparently what I have is red undertones, and I think pores are not supposed to be seen. I need all these things to be confirmed for me. These sponge things don't work for me. You gotta use your hands. This I do. That's how the magic really happens. So we're gonna go through a tutorial how to make the magic happen from beautiful to beautifuler. Let's go. I've already been moisturized. That's the first thing. But moisturization already happened. We go raw. All hands. Pick up a couple streaks. This is the guy we're putting on makeup. We got dots. There's some shiny points that generally happen. First of all, here we go. You dust here. I'm putting way too much, but you dust. Oh, get the excess off. You don't want chunky powder. There's like a T-zone, I think, right? Mine is a double T-zone. Because I went middle and another cross. Make sure your nose isn't all shiny. People get on you for it. You know, say, that's not a good point you made on there, JR. Your nose is shiny. You guys are picky like that sometimes. I think that's about it, fellas and ladies. See you guys next time. Bitsies.
Keep talking.
All right, welcome back. Do you remember the story we brought you about cops seizing a child's goat, citing a ridiculous rule, and then they decided to barbecue and eat the damn goat? It was a pet for her. The girl wins $300,000 now due to the police and their malicious conduct. So a child has finally received that $300,000 settlement after her pet goat was slaughtered by deputies. Indisputable covered the story when the traumatic incident first occurred. Jessica Long discovered where her 9-year-old daughter's pet goat was, and it was too late to save it. Sheriff's deputies had seized the goat named Cedar in 2022 while he was staying at a Northern California farm. They delivered him to Shasta County. These were fair officials, okay, who claimed that the county owned the goat. Court documents say Cedar was later slaughtered, according to the documents, and the family sued county officials. Now, the county and its sheriff office will pay $300,000. Excuse me, the taxpayers will pay it, actually, courtesy of the taxpayers here. To Long's family as part of a settlement agreement. The deal approved by the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of California, judge said Friday, quote, is the first step of the Long family moving forward, said Vanessa Shakib, the family's attorney. Quote, we can't get justice here because Cedar can never come home. Shakib, co-founder of the nonprofit Advancing Law for Animals, which specializes in animal law, told the Washington Post. She added, quote, but what's important is that we make sure that this never happens again to another family, and that government officials understand that animals are not property, they are family members. So here's what happened prior to the settlement. In June 2022, Long and her daughter exhibited Cedar for potential buyers at the fair, the district fair. This was called the Junior Livestock Auction in Anderson, California, according to the lawsuit. On the auction's final day, the girl decided she could not bear to lose her Cedar, okay? But fair representatives said withdrawing was prohibited. Man, please. All right, so they said, no, that's prohibited. You cannot have your pet back. Insane, right? So Cedar, who was about 7 months old at the time, was auctioned off for $902. Fearing the goat would be slaughtered for his meat, Long's daughter cried, refused to leave the animal to fair officials, the lawsuit says. Long took her daughter and Cedar home, telling fair representatives that she would pay for any financial losses her decision caused, according to the lawsuit. Worried her county neighbors would be upset, Long took Cedar to a farm in Sonoma County, California, okay? More than 200 miles away. What are they doing? They're hiding Cedar, okay? Cedar hot right now, got a warrant out for his arrest, you gotta hide him. They're trying to seize the damn goat. And so she not only says, listen, I care much more about the happiness of my child than the money you're talking about. So let me just go ahead and pay for your trouble, and we'll work it out that way. So she goes 200 miles away where she thought Cedar obviously would be safe, according to the lawsuit. Here's what happened. Later in June, a livestock manager at the fair called Long and demanded she return Cedar. The next day, Long sent a letter to the fair that said that 3 of her daughter's grandparents had died within the past year, and that she could not bear the thought of her losing Cedar, the lawsuit says. The fair denied their request, and the goat was then seized and slaughtered. that is what happened. Obviously, I got some questions. Number one, why were they not charged with conspiracy? I'm talking about the fair officials and everybody else, because the initial lie was, no, that is prohibited. No, it's not. That's not how property transaction works. There's no contract if there's no sale. So you telling me I can't have my pet back, even though there's no contractual transaction yet? We'll come back later tonight. So this was the first manipulation, obviously, for whatever purposes, criminal or civil. And here we are. Now, naturally, that child does not give a damn about the money at all. She much would prefer to have Cedar back. I remember as a young child, I loved my dog who died, and that ruined my whole damn week, month, year. So I get it. So Ben, I don't understand how everybody did, brother. I mean, all of these grown people are this heartless, and all they wanted to do is eat the goat.
It's very confusing. At the beginning of the story, I was going to make some sarcastic jokes, and then I just remembered I have my son Henry Horse sitting right here in my lap, and I actually got teary-eyed for the second half of the story instead. Yeah. You know, it's just so weird when people, how much in this country, how often we value commerce, we value business, we value money over heart and love and care. And I mean, a child's goat, like what kind of Dickensian evil character do you have to be to do that to a young girl? And was the goat needed for some big job? The goat was barbecued. I mean, at least you got $300,000, which I think is a fair amount of money in compensation for this. If I were this young girl, just to spite the county, I'd spend all $300K on goats. I wanted to have hundreds of goats. I wanted to be drowning in goats. I think that's the move. That's the move.
Right. That's right. All right. Well, the ending is the ending. Unfortunately, a whole lot of adults decided to rip happiness from a child. All right. Well, Stephen A. Smith, he's back at it. Blames Michelle Obama and others for alienating voters. Here it is.
Michelle Obama giving a speech in Kalamazoo where she skillfully and brilliantly detailed reproductive rights. Wasn't talking about abortion. She was talking about reproductive rights for women. Fair enough. But then she added a line by saying a vote for him was a vote against us. How you think American citizens felt? So in other words, if we don't agree with you, we're against you. Might not have affected most women, maybe some. How'd you think the men felt about that? How about this one from Oprah? And you're going to look an audience in the face and you're going to tell them that if you vote for Donald Trump, you may not ever be able to cast a vote again. Who believed that? Who believed that coming from Oprah? Truly, who believed that? This is the kind of stuff that alienates an electorate.
All right. Let's get into it. ESPN host Stephen A. Smith has cast his ballot in the post-election ritual of fingering someone or something as the reason their candidate lost, singling out Oprah Winfrey and Michelle Obama. Just keep his picture up for a minute. Just put his picture back up. Stephen, when you woke up that morning, did you plan this? Obviously, I've disagreed with Stephen A. Smith and I've agreed with him on some stuff as well. So Smith said Wednesday on the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast that the media mogul and former First Lady set an exclusionary tone that alienated men, Trump's most reliable voting bloc. If we don't agree with you. We're against you, said Smith, referring to speeches made by the media mogul and former First Lady. Quote, how do you think the men felt about that? So we have to do what you tell us to do. Otherwise, we're anti-you. You thought that worked? Do y'all know anything about most men? You think that's going to work? That's what Stephen said now. Okay. Oprah and Mrs. Michelle were among a long list of celebrities who endorsed Democratic presidential nominee, Vice President Kamala Harris. She had the country's most popular entertainers, from Beyonce to Taylor Swift, most famous athlete, LeBron James, and two of its most iconic actors, George Clooney and Harrison Ford, on her side. Stars past, Madonna, Bruce Springsteen, present, Lizzo and others, all pledged support for Harris. But collectively, they were all preaching to the choir, said Seth Abramovich, senior writer at The Hollywood Reporter. Quote, Oprah, Katy Perry, Beyonce, Lady Gaga, Madonna, Ariana Grande, these are artists whose audience, Black, female, liberal, queer, were already inclined to vote for Kamala. He told The Guardian, Swift, popular with country music and pop fans alike, would seem to be an exception, but her influence was negligible with two demographics that shifted significantly to Trump. Now, I actually disagree with the reporter here. A smart person, but I disagree with him. Number one, those audiences and the entertainer per audience is not about persuading them on the policy. It's about persuading them on the participation, okay? So that is why you have the context of a Beyonce, the context of others, Oprah, et cetera. Number two, Swift, as popular as she was, the polarization was too extreme. That is something that's more powerful than any person. So the polarization, I think, was miscalculated here. And that's why the vice president decided to campaign with a conservative who endorsed her. That may not have been a great strategy. Would it have changed the outcome of the election? I doubt it. But it did not give the boost and the crossover that people assumed that it would in some political circles. Now, meanwhile, here's how Stephen A. Smith put it on Sean Hannity's show.
And you were very gracious, by the way, privately. We have our own conversations, and you said that to me, and I'll live with it. And I've had elections that I really wanted my side to win that they lost. And you know what, Stephen A., I go on, and I plow through, and I do my job. There's not going to be retribution. None of the hosts of The View are going to be taken off. I used to go on that show. They wouldn't even they wouldn't accept a conversation with me at this point. Isn't that pretty pathetic? Because I used to like Whoopi Goldberg. Joyless Behar,
listen,
she's a little, yeah.
I would ask that you don't look at the show. What you should look at is the ideological tilt that has taken place in our country. We've gotten to a point where, God forbid, somebody has a difference of opinion and a different form of ideology, then you're damn near the Antichrist. And that's not what makes this country great.
Okay, now let's go ahead and contextualize it properly. You call out Michelle Lowe, you call out Oprah. Now I get some of your, I guess, frustration, right? But President Obama said something against Black men and their voting habits way more offensive than the former First Lady. And also Oprah Winfrey, I mean, I agree with her. It's a possibility based not only on rhetoric, but on proclamation that Donald Trump will seek a dictatorship style of governing. He already tried it. But the people who literally are attacking individuals due to a difference of opinion you had no words for. The pundits who support those violent individuals, you are a guest on his show. Something not adding up there, brother. I invite you to the bullpen. All right, Ben, thoughts?
Yeah, Stephen A. Smith is, I think, wrong more often than he's right. I see his point here. I don't exactly agree, but it's hard to disagree because we lost, and we lost pretty bad. And so I think it's good to take any feedback that might be helpful in course correcting. And so I agree with you, Doc, or as I like to call you now, DRC. I agree with you in the fact that it's a different set of circumstances. Maybe during a normal election, you should be able to say, here's what we fight for. Here's what we hope you will come to see. And we ask for your vote. And an election where somebody tried an insurrection, did not deliver a peaceful transfer of power, said he wouldn't, still denies the election. And has fascist tendencies, that it's something you want to more starkly talk about. That's why Dick Cheney, like you said, and Liz Cheney came on board and endorsed Kamala and campaigned with her, is a unique set of circumstances. But clearly it didn't work. And so maybe in retrospect, he's right in that it would have been better to say, we ask that you vote for us. We ask that you vote for our rights as women, rather than saying, if you vote the other way, you're voting against us, and making the male bravado kind of rebel against that. It's hard to say. We know something didn't work in this election, because it looks like apparently Kamala didn't even outperform Biden in any county in the country, from one thing that I saw. So, there's a lot to learn. The Democratic Party has to do a lot differently. I think in general, the tactics that the Dems use to try to court voters and make the campaign mostly about Trump's an existential risk, and that's enough, that didn't work. People care more about their pocketbooks. They care more about their immediate needs. And these celebrity endorsements clearly didn't make a big difference. Who knew how powerful the celebrity pull of Hulk Hogan and the My Pillow guy are? Apparently, You don't need the biggest stars. You need the fringe stars from yesteryear who sell uncomfortable pillows to pull you over the edge. But clearly people didn't. And also people in the algorithm, in the Trump MAGA algorithm, believe the election was stolen, believe there was. So many people I talked to, smart people in the last 6 months as this election was heating up, said, are you kidding? Of course there was massive fraud. Of course it was stolen. When I think, to any rational mind, there's not a shred of evidence for it. The courts agree there's not a shred of evidence for it, but they truly believe it. So we need to come up to the reality that we're living in silos. We're living in completely different algorithms that are giving us completely different realities. I've been having conversations this week where people are flabbergasted at the facts that I know to be facts, and I'm flabbergasted that they think the exact opposite. They believe these celebrities were paid to be there. Obviously, they were not. They believe the election was stolen. They believe Trump talks constantly about how amazing America is, when all I see is him saying how terrible America is. We just live in different realities. And so if we ever want to win the future, we really have to look at ourselves, at our messaging, at what issues we are centering, at how we are talking to the vast majority of the nation. We need to look deeply at the fact that somehow the Republicans, whose policies do not work or help the average working American, have somehow become the party of the working people in the eyes of the working people, when Dem policies are what help them. But people don't believe it to be true. It's a major, major problem. And so I think all criticisms are welcome. We need to look in the mirror. We need to take it deep. We need an overhaul of how the Democratic Party approaches the electorate in any upcoming election if we want to ever win the future again.
Yeah, the gatekeepers got to go home.
Oh, the DNC needs to go on a long vacation.
No. They got to go home.
Permanent vacation.
They got to go home.
Yeah, like a relocation kind of situation.
Witness protection.
They just are completely removed from the people. They are elitist. The argument of Trump being anti-democracy has not helped when they've been pretty anti-democracy, when they kind of installed people and hid facts and don't acknowledge campaigns and crush campaigns and sued RFK to keep him off ballots, didn't acknowledge my campaign, crushed Bernie Sanders in 2016. Or 2020, no, 2016, sorry. They just, they don't care about the people's voice, and you see what happens there.
And they shut down state Democratic parties. We've reported on that as well. One state Democratic party, I think it was Alabama, threatened to sue them because of their actions. And as I said in post-election coverage, the Democratic Party has some serious soul searching to do. Republicans got to figure out if they have a soul, but the Democrats have to do some soul searching, period. We got more on the other side. Indisputable. Stick and stay.
Magic, it's showtime, and say 45 minutes. I'm hosting today. Now I know what you're thinking, Jerry, your face is already perfect, but you know what? I still need to apply some makeup. I went through this process, right, a few years ago, when I realized that I was gonna have to wear makeup on the show. I had to go through like finding out what my undertones were. You guys know what those are? I got my MAC Cosmetics. It says SPF 15 foundation, broad spectrum. But apparently what I have is red undertones, and I think pores are not supposed to be seen. I need all these things to be confirmed for me. These sponge things don't work for me. You gotta use your hands. At least I do. That's how the magic really happens. So we're gonna go through a tutorial, how to make the magic happen from beautiful to beautifuler. Let's go. I've already been moisturized, that's the first thing. But moisturization already happened. We go raw. All hands. Pick up a couple streaks. This is the guy we're putting on makeup. We got dots. There's some shiny points that generally happen. First of all, here we go. You dust here. I'm putting way too much, but you dust. Oh, get the excess off. You don't want chunky powder. There's like a T-zone, I think, right? Mine is a double T-zone. Because I went middle and another cross. Make sure your nose isn't all shiny. People get on you for it. You don't say, that's not a good point you made on there, JR. Your nose is shiny. You guys are picky like that sometimes. I think that's about it, fellas and ladies. See you guys next time. Bitsies.
All right, welcome back. Lot of show left. Make sure you check out one of the funniest and thoughtful, and also has a really good Trump impression, Ben Glebe Show. Tell us where you at there, brother. What you got coming up?
Thank you, Doc. A lot of people are telling me it's the best Trump impression in the world. A lot of people are saying it. It's not just me. It's not just you. The electorate is saying it. I have a podcast called Last Week on Earth. You can see the name of it right there. And we summarize everything that happened during the last week on Earth. News, politics, pop culture, trends, science, weird stories. I give you the facts. I give you my take on it. We make it funny. We make you laugh. It's a great way to take sometimes the medicine that is the news in a way that feels like a lollipop. So come on board. If you've been in a coma for the last 7 days, we wake you up. Subscribe all the places you get podcasts, and let me take you through the news.
Thanks for all you do, man. All right. We got some comments. I'm kind of pressed for time. I'll read as many as I can. Biden flavor corn pop. One should always ask for someone's vote, not threaten, intimidate, or demand it. Yeah, and we saw a lot of that rhetoric, and we've addressed it right here in this Indisputable. Lord Unix, I just wonder how long TYT will be allowed to exist now. Well, there are other ways if it comes to that, right? We all have to fight. Every generation, and I don't think it will, but every generation is responsible for two things: securing the freedom or rights that you currently have, and then enhancing them as well. Naturally, the forces against us are still against us. So the fight is on. All right. God, I'm old 65 says, I'm so glad that these racists are being held accountable. Sad to say, it is unusual. I'm from Florida. I wonder if our law enforcement and state attorneys would act accordingly. Hell no, come on, you know better. Not at all. I have serious doubts. Kudos to Nevada's law enforcement for doing the right thing. That's right, it's leadership. It's leadership. Okay, got something for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off!
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
I'm making a scene. Do something. I like that life. Do something, bro. I like that life. Do something. Now you got my
Take me out! Take me out! Take me out!
You threatened me.
Take me out!
You threatened me.
Take me out!
You threatened me.
Take me out!
Take me.
Take me out! Take me out! Knock me out!
That's my problem.
Knock me out!
I ain't doing nothing. That's why women get the ass kicked. Go.
Knock me out!
You need a man to put you in place. I'll put you in your place.
Knock me out! Knock me out!
You need to marry a little white boy.
Knock me out!
You said you're gonna beat me up.
Knock
Beat
me out!
baby.
Knock me out!
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 Touch me first.
Knock me out! Knock me out! You just say knock me out! Knock me out!
You ain't touching
Knock me out!
I ain't Tyrone.
Knock me out! Knock me out! You just showing you're racist. You showing you're racist.
Put up the picture, full mask. To the male Karen, I heard you say that she now has your attention. And because she got your attention, you now have mine. We don't know much background prior to this happening, but we do know the foreground that's on video: the bigotry, the aggression, the threats, the desiring of a physical combat with a Black woman. It's quite insane. Now, you call yourself a real man and that you're not Tyrone from the hood. Well, listen, I'm Rashad from Glenwood. And I have to imagine that while I do not believe you are a man in that sense, I don't believe you're a responsible, thoughtful, caring, loving, protective human being. That's what a man is. I'm sure you know one or two. Maybe you have a friend that is an actual man. I hope they talk to you authentically. All right, Ben, thoughts here?
Yeah, we are unfortunately now going to be living in a reality for the second time where a bunch of toxic, old school male BS is unleashed. Like you said, the definition of a man is a lot broader than a lot of these meatheads think it is. Being a man is being tough, but it's being tough in all the ways. It's being tough mentally. It's being tough spiritually. It's being tough emotionally in a way where you can embrace emotions, feel emotions, and not let it crumble you. And it's being tough in a way where you stand against bigotry, against racism, against provoking hatred, provoking racial animus, provoking any kind of animus toward any group. And that's what a man is And you're going to see a lot of people that don't get that. You know, my hope in this new Trump administration is that the world's most selfish, toxic man did a lot of it just for his own ego to win a second time, and maybe he'll be tired and just want to have some sort of legacy that doesn't turn the country in some negative way. It's wishful thinking, but I'm going to try to hope until inevitably I'm sure he will let us all down, but I just really hope that people realize this is not a way to be. And if you ever get in a woman's face, you are the weakest man possible.
Right. That's right. All right. Well said. Okay. We got to talk about it. Black women are fed up with white women after the election. There's a lot here. So TikToker Samantha Ryan best explained the situation. Here it is.
I had a coworker ask me, and this coworker is a white woman, and she was so upset. And she asked me, why are black women opting out? Once black women get themselves together as a collective, then they call in other communities. Everybody is in agreement. The day of war comes, black women stand on the front line. Black women hold up their swords and say charge, and they start running towards the war, towards the battle. Black women look back, and now everybody who said they were going to go to battle with them, now they gone. When black women come out of the battle that they just fought, for everybody's interest, they come out with battle scars, trauma, and some more stuff. And they barely get a thank you. Y'all don't need us to help you in your fight. Y'all have the numbers to do it. Now, we going on vacation.
Let me give you more context. Black women on social media are reeling after finding out that they have been bamboozled by all of the white self-proclaimed anti-racist, quote, cat ladies, as JD would say, who claim to be giving Vice President Kamala Harris their ballot. Voting demographics now show that 53% of white women in the country voted for the convicted felon, sexual violator, and alleged insurrection instigator, known as Donald J. Trump, to be the next president of the United States. The polls show that 91% of Black women voted for Harris, according to NBC. The stark difference in voter turnout between the two groups was nothing short of disappointing because of allied interest advocacy that they share, though Black women showed how they really felt underneath a recent ex-post from MSNBC legal analyst Jill Wine-Banks, who silently posted the link to the Women's March website. No caption was needed to know the message was being sent to suggest women should band together in demonstration to protest Trump's sexist policies. However, Black women quickly hit her with, get somebody else to do it, response. Quote, need to change this to non-Black Women's March, because absolutely not, wrote one ex user. Quote, I don't think POC and white women realize, people of color, realize how much the results of this election has likely radicalized many Black people against them to the point where we may not lift a finger in a generation to support them. They're in their causes, wrote another user. More responses online. Brooke Ashley posted, quote, Black women aren't rolling up their sleeves anymore. Get someone else to do it. Lakeisha Harrison posted, quote, Black women after this election. When Black women say they are done, believe them. We got to take care of us since no one else even thinks of us. Try to find the light, y'all. The battle is just starting. Another post wrote, at least the myth of people of color is finally dead. Finally dead. Black people and Black women specifically, we ain't got no one but us. And honestly, that's freeing. I will be selfish. Put me and mine first and let the universe take care of the rest. Hanayama is my voting era. Melanie L. Campbell, who chairs the minority advocacy group, Power of the Ballot Action Fund, and also served on a committee of women who advised Biden in selecting Harris as his running mate, said, quote, white women who were very much apart, we thought this time, would actually join forces with all women and vote for the first woman president, the first Black and South Asian woman president, but the results bear out, at least the early numbers show 53% of white women voted for Donald Trump, who is a sexist, who is a white nationalist. And so there's a lot of feeling of betrayal in this moment. Meanwhile, there's some Trump voters showing buyer's remorse. Here it is.
I know y'all seen that video of the Latino man, Angel Rodriguez, who voted for Donald Trump, and then he sent his kids to play with the neighbor's kids across the street. And then those people who also voted for Donald Trump, mind you, told him to leave and that his kind isn't welcome here. What did you expect?
There's more of that. There was also this story. Put it up. My husband works for a small manufacturing company, and here in southwestern Pennsylvania, that means most employees are Trump voters. When the president of the company sat them down today to tell them their annual Christmas bonus would not come this year because they now need to purchase at least a year's worth of products prior to January 21st due to the proposed tariffs, they did not understand. My husband said that their president had to explain what a tariff is and how it directly hurt their company. They all thought the foreign company paid the tariff. This is the level of ignorance voting against their own interests here in Pennsylvania, where we failed American women and children last night. Lizzie, my mom's coworker, voted for Trump because of the economy and is now in panic because she's worried her undocumented husband will now get deported. Face, meet leopard. What is it that compels the human mind? Is it our conscious beliefs, our subconscious thoughts? And subconscious is below consciousness, so you don't know. But there's a driving factor here. All right. I hate to see this, Ben, and I hope that obviously there's more coalition and reconciliation in a proper way moving forward. But there is no criticism from me for what Black women are saying today. What say you?
I think it's a tough one because I fully understand the feeling of Black women in this post-election moment. You know, it's a similar place to how I feel as a Jewish and Israeli man post this election. I put my country to some degree even over the self-interest of my own people, just because I think probably one of the only areas in which Trump might have been stronger might be in trying to support the Jewish people. And I'm an American first, and I voted for that. And I'm quite frustrated that more did not join me in that because they might have been a one-issue protest vote or sat this election out. So I understand the sentiment. I also don't agree it's the right move. I get it because it's frustrating and you fight and you lose. And I hope that's to some degree a temporary sentiment because we do have to band together regardless. It is unfortunate. A slightly higher percentage of white women voted for Trump in this election than in the last two. It was like 47. This time it was 53, but also a slightly higher percentage of Black women seems to have voted for Trump. It was 4%, and now 8%, a very tiny percentage, thankfully, but an increase as well. So just overall across the board, something that Trump did And something in the Harris campaign made just a lot more people, obviously, as we saw in this landslide election, move towards Trump. We don't know exactly what it is, but I think we need to band together more than we need to separate. But I fully understand the frustration. I fully understand the fact that people feel like they weren't there for them. You know, I don't think racism and misogyny played as big a role in this election as we think. I think people were frustrated with the economy. I think people were frustrated with being told how to vote, but I think it certainly was a factor, and I think it's sad and it doesn't speak well to America, and I get the frustration. I just hope that we can band together, because what the other side tries hard to do is to divide. And if they succeed just through a victory in dividing us further, that doesn't do us any good moving forward. I don't know that a march wearing vagina hats is the move anyway. I don't know that that's going to change anyone's mind, and I don't think the energy is there in any demographic to do that in large numbers again. I think mobilizing in ways that affect policy, that affect organization, that affect party platform are what we need to focus on. But I do hope we can do it as one block of progressive people that care about evolving towards the future.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously, this is one of those negotiable points, because if we're going to move together as a coalition, there has to be mutual benefit and mutual belief.
Yeah. And to that point, Doc, I do understand the point as a negotiating tactic.
Yeah.
As a way to put a line in the sand.
Yeah.
I do appreciate the Black woman voter bloc saying, we're done. You got to convince us to come back. We need to actually know we have partners here. And I get
That's
that.
right. There you go. All right. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
Welcome to the Damage Report. I'm John Idarola. This is gonna be a big one. Meanwhile, in the Arctic, you know where this is going. You watch the Damage Report, the Arctic's on fire. Obviously, why would we be talking about the Arctic except to tell you that it's melting once again? The Republicans aren't that interested in it. I wonder why. Lift out of poverty up to 3.7 million people, including an estimated 1.3 million children. Hashtag save the children? Not if it costs money. I mean, come on.
At TYT, our mission is to boldly pursue truth, challenge the establishment, and drive positive change. At a time when corporate capture of our media, our government, and our politics is nearly absolute, everyday working people need a champion to fight for them and to push back against the powerful interests that threaten our democracy itself. At TYT, we're proudly progressive and call out corruption and duplicity wherever we see it, from Republicans, Democrats, or anyone else. And unlike mainstream news media outlets, we're not beholden to corporate advertisers, to defense contractors, to Wall Street, or to Big Pharma. We only have to answer to our audience, and for nearly 2 decades, we've accomplished that by delivering honest, timely, and insightful perspectives on the day's news without fear or favor, or concern for whose toes we might step on, or which powerful elites we might offend. And while we're super serious about the news, we also manage to do it in a way that is fun and lighthearted. We can do this together and serve our audience, and yes, have fun doing it.
All right, welcome back. A lot of show left. Let me read some comments. Beautiful comments, by the way. JMC says, he said Tyrone. That's the most racial trope a white dude could use. I know coming back from that. Exactly, right? Dragons don't know I'm not real bacon says, maybe I'm toxic, but it's hard to be a real man on the scooter. Good observation.
It's a fact. Tell that to me and my scooter gang. We go around the neighborhood, rough some people up, and then get froyo afterwards, and it's not a good look.
There you go. James also says Stephen A gets a lot wrong. Just look at look at his sports predictions. LOL. Yeah, I agree. Biden flavor corn pop. Good job arresting the lot. All of them way too old to be pulling that ish. Yeah. All right. And YouTube. Okay. Thank you for that, Neil. Amendment 14.3 disqualifies former government official from holding office, took an oath to support the Constitution, democratic insurrection. That's correct. Yeah, there were a lot of missed opportunities here where the Constitution provided remedy, but once again, enforcement is required when infractions are present. Without the enforcement, it doesn't matter what the infraction. Okay, here we go. 3 teachers, trusted children advocates, arrested for abusing special needs students. Horrible story. Put them up full mask. According to officers, teachers fed chips, hot sauce to special needs students who had digestive issues as part of a pattern of behavior for abuse. The 3 teachers are now facing felony charges after an investigation revealed their abuse of special needs students. Officers in Smyrna began investigating in February when a child abuse allegation surfaced. This was at the Smyrna Elementary School. A long and detailed probe went in via the Delaware Department of Justice and the school district, allegedly revealed a, quote, pattern of troubling behavior in a special needs classroom. Okay, that's according to the Smyrna police. Some of the allegations date back 2 years. One of the teachers, 31 years of age, Michaela Lomax, allegedly struck a student in the face and also sprayed the student with a bottle of water as a form of discipline. She faces 3rd-degree child abuse, 9 counts of endangering the welfare of a child and offensive touching. Lomax was taken to jail, $12,500 bond affixed. Detectives also uncovered an incident from 2 years ago in which 26-year-old Marissa Johnson and 21-year-old Morgan Donahue reportedly fed a student hot Takis chips and hot sauce despite knowing that the student had a digestive disorder that makes it difficult to process spicy foods. She received a $10,000 bond. Donahue is facing a single count of endangering the welfare of a child and has a $500 bond. It was sadistic, is what they did. The Smyrna School District said in a statement that it reported the, quote, alleged wrongdoing by staff to police and the Division of Family Services in February. School officials stated they removed the teachers from the classroom once the allegations surfaced. They also said, quote, most of the accused teachers are no longer with the district. Most of them are no longer with the district. As for the teachers still on payroll, the district will, quote, honor employee privacy rights with regard to separation of employment and will send reports to the Department of Education Division of Licensure and Certification per officials. You know, schools are not Fortune 500 companies. Meaning you don't have thousands of employees stretched out over a country or multiple nations. Typically, when you see multiple bad actors like this, you have a culture that has permeated that institution. I do not believe for a moment that no one else in that community, because a school is a community, that no one else knew that all of these teachers were engaged in malfeasance. don't believe it. And this is how it actually lives, grows, and harms our young people. It's not because only bad people do bad things. It's because the alleged good people sit back and do nothing. All right, Ben, thoughts here?
Yeah, it's a lack of leadership. It's a lack of making sure that your principal, your superintendent come and set a culture that is about the heart of what you're in this work for. And it also is, again, an argument for paying teachers better. Not that anybody, even at a minimum wage level of payment, you need to treat all children, especially those with special needs, well. But let's also pay teachers better and attract some of the best people to that job. I said it forever, and I'll say it again. If you want to make some big change in this country, flip the salaries of Congress and teachers. You're going to get better teachers, and you're going to get people in Congress, for ones that actually care about public service and aren't there to put a couple bucks in their pocket, and that's about it.
Yep, that's right. All right. This is one of the most immature and corrupt stories I've heard in a long time. Prison guards plotted to ambush inmates awaiting release. Put it up, full mass. Corrections officers at a person in New Jersey planned going away parties for the purpose of ambushing and assaulting inmates awaiting release. The incidents happened between April 2019 and December 2019 at the Bayside State Prison in Leesburg, New Jersey. A corrections officer from New Jersey who watched two separate attacks on inmates in officers' quarters by fellow inmates and a colleague during a, quote, going away party is going to prison. Joshua Hand, 35, was sentenced on Tuesday to 20 months, more than a year and a half in prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release and a fine of $10,000. That's according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. He pleaded guilty to charges of depriving two inmates of their right not to be subjected to cruel and unusual punishment, prosecutor said. Court documents said the attacks at the prison were common. They happened when officers would initiate a, quote, going away party for an inmate nearing the end of his prison sentence or their transfer to another unit or facility. Now, when you see terms like this, a going away party, right? That means there's a culture. Culture and language go hand in hand. You can call it code if you choose. But the fact that they knew what to say in order to get it done, and it wasn't simply among the corrections officer, it was also other inmates involved to do their dirty work, obviously in promise of some kind of trick at the prison. So correctional officers orchestrated the assaults, and then they recruited other inmates to carry out the assaults. Sometimes the correction officers themselves either helped or restrained the inmate or directly participated in the assaults. The assaults took place in areas of the prison's kitchen, out of sight of surveillance cameras, so that there was no visual record. The first one happened shortly before victim one's scheduled release from prison. He was summoned to the officer's quarters by Hand's colleague, who was identified in court documents as John Makos, 44 years of age. Shortly after victim one entered the officer's quarters, the exit door was blocked, and he was assaulted by several inmates and taken down to the floor as Hand and Makos watched. During the assault, victim one was held down by several inmates while others delivered punches and other blows to the torso, arms, and legs of victim one. One of the inmates delivered multiple punches to victim one's lower body and torso. Another inmate was positioned near the door as a lookout. Victim one was injured during the assault, but did not complain to prison authorities because he feared that his discharge date might be postponed. Later that day, victim two was in the officer's quarters at the prison with Hand and Makos. Without provocation, Mako struck victim 2 in the legs multiple times with a broomstick while hand watched. Mako's pleaded guilty in the case and was sentenced to 30 months or 2.5 years, officials said. First of all, not enough time. It's not enough time. It's not enough penalty, not enough punishment. And here's why. In positions of public trust, you are held or should be held to a higher standard of responsibility, not a lower one. Number 2, this is not them calling a buddy to do an immature thing against someone in retaliation. This is them literally utilizing their authority in government to manipulate individuals that really have no power inside of that facility, inside of that jail, to put physical hits on people. Where's the conspiracy charge? How about RICO? How about the other individuals who allowed this to happen, the sergeants, captains, etc.? Okay. Ben, thoughts here?
You know, you made it plainly clear there. It's a terrible dereliction of duty. It's a terrible moral failure. And, you know, I'm glad at least they're getting prison sentences. And at the end of those prison sentences, I hope at least they are rewarded with one hell of a going away party.
Yeah, there you go. The irony of it. We got more on the other side. Indisputable stick and stay.
Do all of you know the Young Turks?
An outlet like yourself that are willing to cover this story from the very beginning.
You have the Young Turks and a bunch of other progressive forces saying this is the time to fight for our values.
And I think right now there are a lot of progressive voters, many leftists who feel like they don't have a home.
And this is why what Cenk and the Young Turks are doing is so important.
What we've done is sustainable, slow, healthy growth. And I think that's the way news should be, where you don't rely on sensationalist stuff. You don't lean on whatever's trendy in the news at any given moment. You know, you just go with the truth.
You gave me a platform.
You've uplifted so many other progressive voices through this network, and you're constantly looking for people that you can amplify through the work we do, through the infrastructure that you built at TYT.
It takes those early people who believe that can really be the seeds of this movement, and that has been the Young Turks.
We're super serious about the news. We also managed to do it in a way that is fun and lighthearted. We're not TYT, you're TYT.
Welcome to the Damage Report. I'm John Idarola. This is gonna be a big one. Meanwhile, in the Arctic, you know where this is going. You watch the Damage Report, the Arctic's on fire. Obviously, why would we be talking about the Arctic except to tell you that it's melting once again? The Republicans aren't that interested in it. I wonder why. Lift out of poverty up to 3.7 million people, including an estimated 1.3 million children. Hashtag save the children? Not if it costs money. I mean, come on.
All right, welcome back. Let me read some of these beautiful comments. Thank you for joining the combo. Winter scoop, the COs are more crooked than the inmates. They bring in so many drugs, weapons, cell phones, tattoo equipment, and any other freak world stuff. They get paid. That's true. And Biden flavor corn pop. This abuse of special needs students and adults by teachers, care providers happens often here in Japan with more cases since COVID. Awful and angering. One case is currently ongoing. Very sad. Very sad. All right. Hell of a thing. Child predator township supervisor reelected after arrest. You can't make this up. Put them up. Township supervisor in Michigan has been reelected after being arrested for trying to sext with a minor. This is Kenneth Fletcher. And this is Kenneth Fletcher in his mugshot while facing felony charges of accosting a child for immoral purposes. The township supervisor in Michigan, according to Law and Crime, was reelected on Tuesday, running uncontested again against a pair of write-in candidates, just months after he was busted in a sting operation for sexting a child. Democrat Ken Fletcher, 58 years of age, is currently facing felony charges of accosting a child for immoral purposes and using a computer to commit a crime, but that did not stop him from winning back his longtime Delta Township supervisor seat on Election Day. Fletcher, who actually resigned from the post after being arrested in September and serving as supervisor for over a decade, was allegedly caught by the state police, the Michigan State Police. This was an Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force and deputies with the Eaton County Sheriff's Office after he began messaging with a law enforcement officer who was posing as a 15-year-old on the dating app Grindr. Okay. Now, I wanted to make sure you got that point. This is not some kind of entrapment. This is not a political dynamic. He just happened to be on Grindr, okay, and wanted to hook up with a child. Fletcher's arrest report alleges that he was having sexual conversations with the officer that he believed to be a 15-year-old child, then planned to meet up with them. He allegedly claimed he was, quote, just talking with them, according to WILX News. So he admitted to it. All right, so keep that in mind. He has confessed. Yep, that was him. With a court date set for November 12th. Fletcher must now decide whether he plans to give himself a second chance as supervisor or will he stay far away from the position. Michigan state law had required him to stay on the ballot. He can vacate the office if he does not get sworn in by then. He could get sworn in and resign, or obviously he could just get sworn in and stay, end quote, said Mary Clark, Delta Township clerk and acting supervisor to WILX on Wednesday. It was a sting. They have all the evidence. He said he did it, but he just contextualized it as, it's just talk. Ben, thoughts?
I mean, there's nothing to say about horrible, disgusting, depraved people that would ever prey on a minor, other than there's a special place in hell for these people. I'm not surprised he won, though, because he ran uncontested, and there's just low information voters everywhere, and a lot of people probably didn't know, just went in there and saw one name and filled that circle in. But this person should not be only kicked out of office, should be arrested and thrown away the key. So that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, there you go. All right, well, hell of a story. So a man covers his face in markers after threatening to blow up the store. Okay, let's put it up. According to the New York Post, Mr. Timothy Lincoln was arrested for allegedly threatening to blow up an Ulta Beauty store in Alabama, has now been charged. He's pictured in a bizarre mugshot with colored markers across his entire face. Quote, "I'm going to blow this ish up," end quote. Lincoln is alleged to have said, according to a criminal complaint. One of the employees had overheard Lincoln making the threat as he was talking to someone on the phone outside the store. The court papers allege Lincoln was arrested after cops rushed to the scene and evacuated the store. Can we put his, yeah. Now, I don't know what was going on with them that day. I don't. Okay. But I cannot blame the employee for being extra cautious here and earjacking a conversation and calling 911. So obviously he seems disturbed, in my opinion, and hopefully he gets the help he needs. Ben, that would be scary if I walked outside of a building I owned or worked at, and I see this guy talking about he about to blow my building up. And we need to pause on this moment right here, because you may not be having a great day. I don't know what's going to happen next.
I mean, that's your opinion. I wouldn't be bothered if somebody says they want to blow up my building. I'm cool, whatever. I've learned to be a lot more relaxed and handle stress in different ways. But can we see the photo of this man one more time? Can we bring him back up full mast? Am I allowed to ask for a full mast? Bring
You
up,
are,
or is that
sir.
only a
Of course
host?
you
There we
are.
go. Thank you very much. All I can say looking at this is the Joker remake, low budge, low budge. I expected a higher quality version. Joaquin Phoenix's best work yet. Really transforms in this character.
There you go.
There it is.
Yeah, he was studying for a role, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Ben, always good to have you on the program, dear brother. Tell people once again where they can find you, get your information, listen to your podcast.
You can subscribe to Last Week on Earth with Ben Glebe on all podcast platforms. I've been doing it about 12 years, rebooted it recently. Excited to have it back during these crazy times, covering everything that happened during the last week on Earth. You can go to benglebe.com for all my content. Watch my game show Idiot Test on Pluto TV and Game Show Central. And you can follow me at Ben Glebe on Instagram, where I post way too much and slowly whittle my life away with my thumbs.
There it is. Thank you, dear brother. Always a pleasure to have you on the show.
So great to be with you.
All right. Remember, take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable.